Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and today I want to chat with you guys a little bit about something I've noticed as a phenomenon, again, who's observed for decades, and it's that when it comes to talk of nutrition or food or anything related to that, uh, the average person, and that includes the average person who works out, literally doesn't know anything. Like what they know is based upon myths and legends. In other words, they clearly haven't read much or very, very little science at all regarding food or nutrition. And I'll give you guys examples of what I mean by myths and legends. I was at a get together with some of my bros the other day, and they had a friend come through, someone I had not met before, and they were chatting with stuff, and they made the statement that, they don't eat chicken. You know, they don't eat chicken because they have all sorts of reactions to it, and they're like, I'm allergic to allergic to steroids. Now keep in mind, this is an educated individual with a good income, and I'm just sitting here thinking, well, number one, no one is actually allergic to steroids per se. That is a category of things, and I assume they meant anabolic steroids. But again, you're allergic to androgens, well, then you're going to die, because that's something your body is already producing. But I set that aside, and they said, I wish that someone would write a law to not let them put all these steroids into chickens. Okay. Now, these are the sort of conversations people have, and they have these things even when it comes to laws and regulations. And that's actually a good question. Like, how many people listening right now think that at any point in their lifetime they have ever eaten a chicken inside the United States of America that had been given anabolic steroids or growth hormone? Anybody listening? Well, if you think that you ever have, you're wrong. It's been against the federal law to do that since the 1950s. No chickens in the United States that are used for food can legally be given that. The FDA would, when they check for all this stuff, they would shut those companies down. They would be fining them millions of dollars and shut them down. Okay, that's a perfect example. We selectively breed chickens to be bigger, right? We feed them out to make them bigger, but they're not given any of that. But that's a perfect example of people who think that they know these things, and because you've heard it, and people say, well, no, but I've heard that everyone knows that. Really? No, that's just rumors the laymen talk about. The same thing, some stuff has been started with malicious intent to sell products, right? How many people out there say things like, well, our vegetables today are lower in nutrients because of soil depletion. And I'm not saying soil depletion is not a thing, right? I'm saying soil depletion is not a thing. Soil depletion just produces bad crop yields in general, or you're just not going to get much food out of it. Right? Doesn't mean you're going to get a full-size food. Right? You're not going to get a full-size normal broccoli or spinach that just doesn't have anything in it. It's just air. Well, no, it wouldn't be that big. It's just you're going to get little tiny underdeveloped crops that don't grow well. You're going to get less yield. Okay? People understand this? Right? In fact, versus historically, our foods are better. We have superfoods pretty much now. We've selectively bred foods to be superior. It is very easy to get amazing nutrition off of the regular produce that you get at the grocery store. Right? Again, not opinion, this is what research shows. But some of that, the whole soil depletion thing and the lower vitamins and minerals was started so that companies could sell you vitamins. Like, this is something that vitamin companies pushed and used to be part of their marketing 80, 100 years ago. Right? You need these things. And it's just endless. story after story after story. And then, of course, fad diets don't help. I mean, how many people out there, I hear this all the time, people who or stop me on the street, ask me questions, or friends or whatever, family members, and they start talking, and it's like, well, yeah, they'll be trying to build muscle, and I'll have someone say, oh, well, I'm trying to build muscle, but I don't eat any bread or pasta or rice or any of that because, I know that makes you fat. And it's like, what? Again, low carb diets have created this sort of nonsense idea. And mind you, the people who I've had say things like this, it might be a guy who works out and he looks like a novice and he's not at a good body fat, he's not lean. Someone who is still making their noob gains and, doesn't even have the best body composition. But then they're talking about building muscle. They want to get big, but they're not eating breads or pasta because they heard it makes you fat. Well, because everyone knows that these things make you fat. Everyone knows. I mean, but these are examples of things that everyone knows. And they also fall for the same marketing that's always worked. As long as you call something natural, as long as you convince people that something is natural, then it must be good. Well, what's your basis for that? What? You go back and say, well, what's a natural human diet? What is that? Before science. Okay? But we produce higher quality foods. What are you talking about? If it's natural, it's good. Anything that's been done to produce a higher quality product or more food must be bad. Well, that's not how it works. That's not necessarily the case. And I'm not saying certain chemical processes are not bad, but I mean, really, when you think about the foods that we know that cause the most harm, they're low-level technology foods. When you set aside trans fats, okay, so putting aside the trans fats, which have been outlawed also, because that is a little more technology involved. Think about what kills us. Table sugar. We've been making table sugar for hundreds of years. Large amounts of animal fat. We've been fattening animals up for years before we eat them. Hey. Those are really your biggest concerns right there. Those two things. Those are your two biggest health concerns in our food. They're very low levels of technology to obtain. But again, people they have such strange ideas, and it's basically because myth and legends, take higher priority over basic nutrition education. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I'll talk to you guys next time.